Hello, and thank you for joining us. I am Kayleigha.
And I'm Jay. We're from Science Division. You may know us as the makers of the galaxy's first app-enabled pet tribble.
And today we have a very special guest with us. Mel from Sid City has agreed to join us.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, so Mel, can you tell us a little bit about what Sid City is and kind of some of the stuff that's been going on with it?
Sure. Sid City is the official fan site for Alexander Siddig, who most people know as Dr. Bashir from Deep Space Nine. He's been in tons of other stuff, but that's the one I think he gets recognized for the most. And since the pandemic started back in early April 10th, we have been holding twice weekly Zoom meetings that we're calling the Sid City Social Club, where fans come in and hang out with us and talk to Sid and connect with each other and go on and do other cool stuff with each other afterward.
That's fascinating. How did it get started?
So it was kind of a spontaneous joint thing that happened. I had been thinking as it became clear that things were getting serious and different communities were starting to lock down and cases were becoming more and more newsworthy. I was thinking, it would be really cool if Sid could do something like make a video or send some sort of a message of comfort for the fans, because I know that he's always concerned about the fans' well-being. And so I actually had a draft in my email to send to him, just as I was trying to think of different ideas, different suggestions, when he got hold of me and said, "Hey, Mel, what do you think about doing something for the fans during the pandemic? I'm concerned about them." And I was like, funny you should say that. So we got together. We had a very long email chain and a few phone calls and meetings to figure out what it was exactly that we wanted to do. First, we kind of had to decide what's our mission, what's the purpose of what we're going to do. And then we needed to find a platform and a format, and we ended up with this kind of talk radio style show that happens on Zoom twice a week, and where people get to come in and talk to him for about 15 minutes. We found that's kind of the sweet spot, where folks have time to get the butterflies out and reveal their real selves, but not so long that everybody else in the room is like, "Oh my gosh, it's taking forever. When's my turn?" So that's what we've been doing. It'll be next week will be our 7-month anniversary of doing this.
Did you ever expect it to go on for so long?
No. When we were talking about it, we were talking in terms of 2 or 3 months max. I mean, we were like, gosh, 3 months. Like, can you imagine? And here we are. So it's evolved over the months. Just this is new for both of us. Neither of us have ever produced anything like this before. Okay. So as we've gone along, we figured out what works, what doesn't work. Can we add some new things? He's very creative. He comes up with ideas all the time, including we've done several episodes or productions, I guess is the way to say it. Several productions of fanfic where Sid comes on. It's all been DS9 fanfic so far. So Sid comes in and plays Bashir. And so it's really just reading a script. It's a very low production value, which is on purpose. We're not trying to piss anybody off, the powers that be.
Sure.
So we just kept it real. Like there's no costumes, no makeup, nothing. And that's on purpose. And so he comes in as Bashir, and then we've had a lot of other DS9 cast members who have joined us to read their parts. Andy Robinson as Garrick, Armin Shimmerman as Quark, Sirach Lofton did several episodes as Jake, and Nana came on and was Muir Kira. That was pretty cool. And so it's just been really fun. We've had the most recent one was an original by Emma Shaw, who wrote one between Bashir and an original character from her fanfic, who was played by Sid's real life son, Django. And it was the first time they've ever acted opposite each other. So I thought that was really cool. And it was phenomenal. I had so much fun with that.
They did such a great job. So, and they look, you can tell that they are related.
Yeah, and then you
Like,
put
okay,
down
well,
the three of them, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's just it's blowing my mind. I mean, I know genetics, but still, when you see it that obvious, yeah.
Yeah. So how do you get to be in a position where you are thinking about emailing Sid to say, hey, what are we going to do about the pandemic? Because, you know, clearly I can't just be like, yo, Sid, let's throw a club together and like, it's going to be great. So how did that all come to pass?
Well, I've run his official fan site. Well, I've run the website. I built the website in 1996, and it became official in 1998. So we've known each other for more than 20 years at this point, and have had an ongoing professional relationship, I guess is the best. I mean, I don't know, professional / friendly relationship. We are friends, but it's all been built on the fact that I'm running this fan site for him. He doesn't have any other official presence online anywhere. He doesn't have social media because he doesn't want to get sucked in. He just, he knows that he would spend too much time on it. So he doesn't do that. All of the social media accounts that are associated with Sid City are run by me. He's not involved in any of that. And the fan site itself, that's run by me. He contributes a letter sometimes, he'll let me know when he's got a new project, and we have to figure out when it's okay to announce it. But it's all me. So that's just that's how it's been. It's a partnership that he's mostly hands off until now. Where when he said, "I'd like to do something," and I was like, "Hey, that's great. Let's do it." So yeah, it's just been 20 plus years of building trust and working together and understanding each other and what he wants specifically, what he wants to do with the celebrity that he has. He's really specific about how he wants to use any kind of influence that he has as a celebrity. And he's really aware of what people need and what they think about him in that capacity, and how he can use it for good, which is why we've had this relationship for so long. It helps when the person that you admire is admirable. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we have a collection of questions from the community of the Sid City Social Club. Jay and I are very fortunate to have been in some of those meetings and gotten to know some of those people. But the first one I wanted to throw up here is from Portia, and it's a big hello and thank you from all of us.
Hi, Portia and everybody.
We're all very excited that you get to be in a panel and we're going to get to share this, and they got to ask questions. So I think we'll put this one up from Casey. What is the most surprising thing about this evolution of Sid City to you personally?
Sid City, the website, is that what you means, or the social club?
I think it's probably the social club, going from the website or from running the website to now running this social club, twice a week meeting.
Yeah, well, I can tell you I never expected to be the producer of a live show. That was nowhere on my goal list or even something that had crossed my mind that I could do. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of work, and it's really pushed my boundaries and my capacity, and my capabilities. But it's been pretty cool to learn all of this stuff and figure out how to put things together and how to serve everybody, as much as possible while still keeping our mission, foremost. I'm surprised that it's still going, that it's gone on this long. I mean, and at this point, Sid and I are talking in terms of what are we doing for the 1-year anniversary in April of 2021, because we don't know. It's just, there's so much uncertainty with his work when he'll be able to go back, and he has the availability now. So we'll stick with it. But so I think maybe the most surprising thing is both what I've been able to do that I never thought I would ever be asked to do, but also just how long it's lasted. I think Sid would say he's surprised at how long it's been, but also at how many people showed up, which I just laughed in his face the first time he said, when we were talking about it, he said, it'd be great if we could get like 20 or 30 people. If 20 people show up to the first one, that would be great.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, yeah.
He's so humble.
Yeah, no, I literally did laugh at him, and I said, yeah, it's going to be more than 20. I guarantee you it'll be more than 20. And then like within 2 weeks, we had to add a second meeting because we had the capacity set at 100 because he wants it to feel more intimate. He doesn't want it to be this huge Zoom meeting. He wants it to be, and it's also for my benefit because it's a little easier to manage 100 people than 300 people. So yeah, he was like, if we ever get to 100, we're probably, consistently, we're probably going to need to add another meeting. And I'm looking at my schedule now because I know we're going to have to do that. So yeah, I've been surprised at how many people have come, and so many people are regulars, and then they're building their own community out of this. There's different communities that are growing out of it, and that's just so cool.
Well, it has kind of expanded past the social club, into, I know there's a Discord and things. Like how has that process been, and what are some of those activities, and are you involved in any of them?
I am not. This is enough for me. What's officially happening with Sid City, that's all the time I have. And I'm not on Discord because I know I would just get sucked in, and I do not have time for that. But I know that there's an after hours Discord that a lot of social club members are on. There's a couple of other like smaller ones that I think they were people that knew each other before, but got really close through this and started their own Discords. There are people working on different projects that may or may not appear in the social club. Some of them are for the social club, some of them are not. So yeah, people are just, and they're discovering each other. And you guys have been in the meetings. You've heard Sid when somebody comes in and says, I'm an illustrator, I'm a writer, something like that. Or even, I'm a student, I'm a psychology student. And he'll say, oh, did you know so-and-so? Have you talked to so-and-so? They're already a psychiatrist, or they also write, there's a whole community. And so he really encourages people to connect away from the actual social club meetings, which again, that's exactly what we were hoping would happen, was building this community. So I know that there's a lot going on, unofficial social club stuff happening. And when people are ready to share it, I'm always happy to see it and figure out if it's something that we can put in the social club, they can present in the social club. We had the cookbook that Judita organized and put together over the summer. They managed a team of people, and got the submissions, both of the recipes and the stories, but also the artwork, and then put it all together. I mean, that was massive.
Right.
And I was the facilitator. I said, yes, absolutely, let's do this. And I put the forms up on the website and did the advertising, but they did everything else. I was just the one that said, go for it.
I feel like that still has a lot of involvement that comes into play. I mean, you just organized or helped organize this big Halloween party, the Sid City.
Yeah, that was more me. Shar Mayer is a professional haunter who we met on the social club a few weeks ago. And when Sid decided that he wanted to do a Halloween party, I said, okay, well, let me see if I can figure that out. Let's do that. And Shar was instrumental in helping me even figure out where to start with that, because she's organized, I think it's LA Scarefest she's done before, which is thousands and thousands of people. I mean, it's big. So she was able to come in and help me out, which I really appreciated, because it was her busiest week of her busiest season of the year is, before Halloween. And she took the time to, we had a marathon Zoom meeting to run through a bunch of stuff. And she gave me all these suggestions and, then emails back and forth, figuring it all out. So that was awesome. It's very helpful. Because left to my own devices, it would have been, I
mean, you have so much going on right now. Like, how are you possibly able to have a work and life balance between this and everything else you have going on?
I am used to life being chaotic. So this is something I had to recognize and confront a couple of years ago, because I kept trying to find the balance, and find the productivity gurus say, write out your ideal day, and then figure out how to make that happen. What time do you want to go to bed, and how soon do you have to start getting ready for bed, and what time do you want to get up in the morning? And I was like, okay, I'm doing that. Every time I would try that, it would last for like 2 days, and then just craziness would happen. And then I was talking to my wellness coach about it, and she said, Mel, you don't have typical days. So you need to accept that, because she said, what I keep hearing from you over and over and over is, I'm trying, but next week's just gonna be crazy. I really want to do this and this, but I don't. Maybe when I'm done with this project, or maybe when we're through this spate of birthdays. And she's like, you just need to accept you don't have an average. You don't have a normal. Chaos is normal. So, realizing that and embracing that has been very helpful in this case as well, because I've worked more this year than I have any other year. I'm a freelance writer, and I am the editor-in-chief of a magazine. And I've been doing this since 2013. And I've worked more in 2020 than I have ever worked before, without adding in the social club. So then you add in the social club.
Right.
It's been a lot. There's not a lot of sleep happening, for one thing. And if you could see my daily life, you'd be like, how is anything getting done? It's just.
Well, I was really impressed. We did the interview with Sid a little while ago, and, we were emailing back and forth, and you had this entire, script laid out for, this is how you put all of this together. And Jay and I are in theater, and I just kind of went, she's a stage manager, you've got everything. So was that a skill set that you already had coming into all of this? Or you mentioned that you were never planning to do a produced live show. So is that all stuff that you have picked up as a result of the Sid City Social Club?
It's both. I'm all about the lists and the standard ops, and make it as automated as possible, with the recognition that things are going to change every time. But if I've got a guide that, if I have a structure, if I have something to work within, I like to refer to my life as structured chaos. So, it's Sunday and it's already been chaotic, as you guys know, because we had to move this already, because somebody in my household invited people over. Two of my nieces live with me while they're going to college, and they invited two of their brothers over for brunch without telling me until this morning. And so that was okay, so I guess we're doing brunch now. So that's the kind of thing that just happens. Yeah. You don't really have any control over it, so you have to be able to move with that. But because it's Sunday, like, we cleaned the house and did all the laundry yesterday, and because it's that Saturday's job, task is getting all of that done. Because if it doesn't happen then, it's probably not going to, because something's always going to happen, like the girls invite their brothers over for brunch. So, that kind of thing. So having a rundown, and I have a checklist that, I don't know if you can even see it in here. Yeah. So here's the checklist that I have for every meeting. It's front and back. This is everything that happens pre-show, goes to here. And then this is during the show. And then this is the post-show. And then during the show, I have a rundown that has my script and notes for me. And then this is the list of people who have signed up for the day that I'm hoping we can get to. But as you can see, there's like 12 names on here, and there's no way. That's never going to happen. But not everybody shows up on the day they sign up. So I like to have more on here, so I'm not like scrambling to figure out who to call on. And then on the back, I've got my show notes, which is where I timestamp it. And I say, the name of the person and where they're from and some interesting things that they talked about. And then I just keep all of those in a collection, because I'm using that data for other things. And it also helps when somebody comes back in later. I can say, Sid, this person's coming back, and this is when you talked to them, and this is what they talked about. Here's just a couple of things to jog his memory. So that kind of thing I'm used to doing it in this context. No. I went and looked up this format this rundown format.
Gotcha.
I went and Googled talk show rundown, talk show format, talk show spreadsheet, talk show, anything I could think of. And found something, you know, kind of cobbled a few things together. But that was definitely me frantically Googling to figure out, how am I going to make this happen? Sid wants to do this. Now what?
And of course, since you're in charge of the site, the fan site, then you just kind of became entangled in it. This is actually, I've got a question I'm going to pop up. Amy has a spectacular question. How do you explain this to people who have no idea what Star Trek is?
Well, there aren't very many of those people. Most people at least know what Star Trek is. It doesn't come up very often. I know that seems odd for this audience who's like, but it's Alexander Siddig, it's Dr. Bashir. You know, I'm not going around telling everybody that this is what I do. Again, and also because I've been involved in his career for so long and known him for so long that it's sometimes I have to remind myself that this is not normal. That this not everybody has a friend who's recognized around the world for good things. So it doesn't really come up that often, but if it does, if somebody says, you know, what are you doing? What have you been up to during the pandemic? And I say, oh, you know, I'm working a lot and I'm hosting this live, you know, twice a week live Zoom show with a friend of mine who's an actor, and you know, the kids are blah blah blah, and you know, and
then throw it into the mix.
You know, because for me, it is just kind of, it's just one more component of what's going on in my life, and it really, I have to treat it that way, or it'll just take over my entire life. I have to view it as this is just one thing that I'm doing. So it doesn't, I don't know, sometimes they come back to it and they're like, wait, what? And I'll explain a little bit more about it. And they're like, oh, that's cool. But it really, you know, I just say that's what I'm doing. And then if they want more information, I say, oh yeah, you're welcome to come join us anytime. Here's how you can find the information, and we'd love to have you. And just leave it at that.
Here's another great question. This is also by Amy. Amy would like to know what some of your favorite moments have been. And then, of course, since you know Sid, we'd all like to know if you know what any of his favorite moments are.
Some of my favorites have been producing the fanfic plays. That's something, again, I never thought I would do. And I really enjoyed the process of it. But also, I remember the very first episode of Alone Together when Sid and Andy came on as their characters. I mean, I'd seen them kind of run through things, and in the pre-show, you know, they were talking back and forth and making some notes on scripts and talking with Matt Campbell, the writer, and, you know, and I know both of them. And so I wasn't prepared when they first came on and they were Bashir and Garrick. I teared up. I did not know how much I missed them until they were back on my screen in new content. I mean, I can go back and watch DS9 anytime, and I do, but this was new content. This was old friends coming to me 20 years later and talking about their lives. And that was really special. And every time since has been special, but that was really, really special. It was moving for me to see that. I constantly get my mind blown by the people who come on and talk to Sid, and they're like, oh, I'm not that interesting. And then they tell us that they're doing such and such, and you're like, what the? You know, we had someone on who works with the sharks at the Brooklyn Aquarium. And when they were talking about their job, they just said, oh, I mean, I have kind of an unusual job, but it's not really that odd. Okay. Sure. We had somebody who carves pumpkins beautifully. He was on, he came to our Halloween party and showed off some more, but he's showing us what his artwork, I mean, because that's what it is. It's artwork on gourds. And that blew my mind. You know, we've had an actual rocket scientist. We have somebody who works with NASA to create soundscapes from different planetary atmospheres. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of the incredible people who come on and share their stories and don't think that they're that interesting, which again, I mean, that's something that I'm like, yeah, that's right. What I am doing here is actually pretty cool and interesting. It just doesn't really seem like it because it's what I'm doing.
Right.
So, I have to stop sometimes and realize, yeah, to other people, this is actually noteworthy. And I'm really proud of what we're doing. It just is what I do, So that's been really, that's very memorable to me in the sense that there are so many incredible people that are drawn to Sid and come to the social club and share their lives and their stories and their experiences with us, and don't realize just how amazing they are. Meanwhile, everybody in the chat room's going, shit, it's amazing. You're so cool. So, and I know that for Sid, it's the same. I mean, we're constantly after, post show, we check in and I'll say, can you believe so-and-so and what they do? And he's like, I know people that come here this is so cool. We get to meet so many cool people and talk to them and find out about them. I know he's been really impressed with Randy, who has come and done drag for us a couple of times. And played the banjo, and oh my gosh, there's like nothing they can't do. And the people that come on and they've done their makeup to look like a Cardassian or a Bajoran or some other creature. I mean, he's forever impressed by that. Those have been really memorable for him. Whenever someone performs, I think he said this in interviews before, I think Marlo and Mimi are two people who came on early, like second or third meeting, I think it was. They came on and were talking, and they mentioned that they sang together. And he said, oh, well, could you sing something for us? And this would have been like 2 a.m. They're in Germany, so it's 2 a.m. for them. And they were like, yeah, we can put something together. And they did it. And it was beautiful. And they've come on and performed for us a couple of times since. And it's just, it's beautiful. And it really moved him that they did it right away, that they were able to pull it together. And then that it just turned out to be so amazing. They just sound so good. And the song that they chose to cover the first time was perfect. And that really sticks in his head as, I think, a moment when he realized, hey, this could be more than me just talking to people. This could be getting really creative and using this platform to showcase other people's creativity and talent and skill. And that's when, I mean, he had been talking about doing a play early, before we even started, before we had our first meeting. He'd been throwing that idea around, but that's, I think, when it really clicked for him that we could do this and we could involve more people and we could have people come on and do, this, that, and the other. So as we talk to people and they reveal their talents and their hidden skills, then, we talk about different people and what they've revealed, and maybe we could have them come on and do this or that, so. But I think that moment when Marlo and Mimi performed for us was kind of a watershed for him as far as what the social club could actually be.
Yeah, well, and now he's kind of constantly inviting people back. Can you come back and show us this thing?
Yes.
Can you send Mel some photos and share them with us?
Right.
And I think that's really fantastic too, that it's a place that you get to talk to Sid, but then you're invited back to do it again. It's not okay, cool, that's off the list of moving on. This is a community of people who are invested in each other and who Sid is invested in. And I think that's one of the things that really keeps people coming back to it.
Right. And that's the whole point, is we want this to build community and for people to find each other, to connect. And he's the catalyst. He's what's bringing people together. He's the magnet, maybe, that's bringing people together, twice a week. But he's very consciously doing that, where he's saying, come back in, let's build this community, get in touch with these other people. That's part of the mission of what we're trying to do here. And in revealing all of these extremely cool people from all over the world.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that we've learned in the Sid City Social Club is that everyone is incredible and nobody knows it about themselves. You know, it's like any person you talk to, and Sid is so great at pulling it out too. You know, people are just like, I'm boring. And he's like, well, tell me a little bit about what you do. And he knows exactly which questions to ask to get to whatever it is that is incredible about every person. And it makes you just start looking at people in a different way, because it's like, you know, that person has something incredible in there. And it's like, can I do what Sid does? Can I find out what is awesome about this person?
Yeah. And what a wonderful way to go through life.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you have to remind yourself that this is like an abnormal thing that you do this, right? And so one of the questions that Amy sent was wondering what one of your biggest "how did I get here" moments was. Like, was there a moment where you just went, "Oh, I'm doing this thing and it's incredible"?
Oh boy. Well, doing the social club is definitely one of them. I mean, there are a lot of things that I've done throughout my life, both on Sid's behalf and for other jobs or projects, that have weirdly coalesced into the skill set necessary to do this. Being able to Google, that's a big one. Find what I need. I remember, this is a story that I maybe shouldn't share. I don't know. I'm going to share it. It's funny to me now. At the time, I had a lot of anxiety about it. So back in 2004, Sid was cast in a movie called Kingdom of Heaven, and directed by Sir Ridley Scott. And Orlando Bloom was the star, and there's just a whole bunch of big names attached to it. And at the time, I was part of an Orlando Bloom fan site that, because, you know, it was Lord of the Rings, Pirates of the Caribbean, that whole like 4 or 5 years there where the Orlando Bloom was the big name. And I loved Legolas. As soon as he wrote in, I was like, who is that guy? So yeah, I still distinctly remember that. So I was part of this fan site, and since he was already attached to the movie, you know, if you want fangirls, like if you want to find anybody or any kind of information, just put the fangirls on it. So we knew everything there was to know about this movie. And then just a couple of days before filming started, Sid told me that he was cast in as Imad. And at the time, I mean, it was like he was getting on the plane the next day. It was that fast. And he didn't have time to do much prep for it. He didn't really know who else was in the movie. And at the time, I would put together these kind of dossiers about a project for him, you know, who else is in it, what it's about, any other tidbits that I could pull off the internet. And again, this is 2004, so there was information, but it was spread all over.
Right.
And so because I was in the Orlando Bloom fandom, I knew where to go, and I pulled all the information together and I put it on a page on the fan site that wasn't linked anywhere else because it hadn't been announced yet. And you know, sent him the link. He asked if I could do this, and I sent him the link, and so he could read it over and get a little familiar before he landed in Morocco. And then the next day, I believe it was, we were able to actually announce that he was in the movie, and we did. And I made the page live. I linked to it so everybody else could read all the information. And like 6 hours later, I got an email from Gail Stever, who ran Sid's fan club at the time, and said, hey, somebody from Fox Pictures, the movie studio, was trying to get a hold of you, and they reached out to me, and you know, and I told him, you know, here's your email address. So just so you know, heads up that this might be happening. It's like, oh, okay, well, that's interesting. I'm at work, but sure. And they ended up calling me. They tracked down my number at work and called me. Somebody from Fox Legal called me because Ridley Scott had seen the page that I posted with all of the information about the movie,
Yeah.
he was mad. He did not, the best I can tell, he didn't know that all of that information was out there already because it wasn't all in one place. And so there was some back and forth about the information and where it came from, and did anybody violate a non-disclosure agreement. And yeah, meanwhile, Sid has gotten wind of this, and he's on the plane. He emails me and says, this is a tempest in the teapot. When I get there, when I land, I'll tell him to leave you alone and you can do whatever you want. It's your fan site, it's your website, blah, blah, blah. And I said, no, listen. The point of this site is to celebrate your work and get you more work, not get you fired. So I'm going to do whatever it is they want me to do. So, I mean, I appreciate him wanting to go to bat for me, but it's not worth it. So I worked it out with Fox Legal and Sir Ridley Scott that for a year, the only thing on the website about Kingdom of Heaven was the name, the director, that Orlando Bloom was the star, and that Sid was in it. It's like 2 sentences. Yeah. That's it. That's all I could have posted on the site. And that's one of those experiences where I went, okay, so, an Academy Award nominated director saw my little page on my little website, and it caused a tempest in a teapot to the extent that the legal department's involved and the actors threatening to kick some butt. And I just, I mean, I had already tried to be very professional and, we never posted anything about Sid's private life or anything like that. But that's when it really hit me what the website was, what it represented, and what my responsibility was if I wanted, if I accepted that responsibility. And I had to do some thinking about what did I want to, was I ready to do that? And where's my boundary? What are my lines? That was, and it had only been official for about 5 or 6 years at that point. So it'd been, kind of below the radar until that happened. But it worked out fine. We ended up, because I played ball, Fox gave us all kinds of like posters and soundtracks and things to do giveaways with. And we got to have somebody on the red carpet at the premiere in London to interview Sid and other people, mostly Sid, but they interviewed some other people on the red carpet for us, for the site. Yeah. And we got to have DVD, they sent us DVDs once that came out, and then the director's cut, which is the best cut. Don't watch the theatrical. We get to have the DVDs to give away, and so it worked out fine. And then later on, he's done some other projects with Fox, and we've benefited from the fact that I decided this is not the hill I'm going to die on. Yeah. So that was a real turning point as far as me deciding what the website was going to be and where it could go from there, what it wasn't going to be also, right. And how I was going to handle that sort of thing. So it's just that's a pretty big moment in the history of Sid City.
Well, I'll put that website up there so people can find the Sid City Social Club. They should go to sidcity.net. And that is also where one can join the Zoom meetings, correct?
Yes. Yeah, sidcity.net/social club is where you'll find all the information, the time, the days. If you want to sign up to chat with Sid, the link to the guest list is there. We are at the point where you can only, you've got to sign up in advance, and even then, it's not guaranteed. You saw how many people there were. That's not even everybody. We usually have between 20 and 30 people per meeting who have signed up. And then once the meeting starts, there's another 10 or so people who are using the, raise your hand feature because they think that's how they need to do it, or they're messaging me privately, which isn't going to work because I don't check those until afterwards. I don't check the chat transcript till afterward. Yeah. So, and we're getting to like 6 or 7 people per meeting. So yeah, there's a wait list, but once you get to do it, it's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. We've gotten to do it, and Sid is amazing, and you do such an incredible job running all of it. You're such a pro, and both of you are just so generous with your time. I mean, you're here on your Sunday after crazy brunch doing this with us, and we really appreciate it, and everybody in the social club really appreciates it. So, thank you so much.
Oh, it's our pleasure, and we're so glad that this community has come and grown and is supporting each other in so many different projects and endeavors and life events. And that's just, every time we hear about that, it just, our hearts grow 3 sizes.
Well, it's an incredible place, and we'll see you this week back in Sid City, and
got it.
Probably need to let you get back to whatever craziness life has in store for you for the rest of your day.
Thanks. It was so good to talk to both of you, and best of luck with Vendor Hall. That's a really cool idea. So
it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.